Hey everybody, welcome back to Girl Talk. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, before we get started, if you can give me a like, share, thumbs up, comment, all that other good stuff, I would appreciate it. And don't forget the subscribe and notification buttons. So today I wanted to talk about the trial that we talked about before, and they're kind of labeling it the other crash. Um, Very similar to Mackenzie Shirilla. And that they were supposed to have court on the 19th, and that was with Leigha Mumby. This information is actually taken off of Facebook, and their page is called Justice for Daniel Waterman. I did look on Reddit and different Google searches and things like that. I couldn't find too much on it, but I think it's going to be a very interesting case. And like I said, the similarities between this and the Mackenzie Shirilla case, very, very strange and a little scary when you think about it. So it says, on July 22nd, 2026, Leigha Mumby was granted her 7th court continuance during a pretrial hearing in Flagler County, Florida, for the death of Daniel Waterman. She is scheduled for her 8th appearance, August 19th, 2026. The continuous delays have caused a huge frustration for the family and supporters of Daniel, who filled the courtroom expecting progress in the July hearing. However, that last hearing took an unexpected turn when court officials broke alphabetical order and bumped Mumby's case up, a move supporters felt was meant to clear the courtroom before the crowd fully assembled for support. Leigha Mumby is charged with vehicular homicide, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and reckless driving causing serious bodily injury. She has pleaded not guilty and remains out of custody on a $150,000 bond and is not required to wear a GPS monitor. Now, if you followed me for a while, you know that I actively speak with Daniel's Aunt Tiffany, and she has included me in everything that she can with updates and behind the scenes. So, the person writing this is in discussion with his aunt, so it is coming from the family. I have many posts about Daniel, most of which the family was included in before sharing, and as I stated above, as they have done nothing but actively advocate for Daniel's life and justice. The last court appearance, Tiffany said they felt like they were not being heard. They felt frustration. She was saddened, like Daniel's life didn't matter. She thanked me for continuing to share Daniel. I truly hope Flagler County sees the hurt, not only the hurt Leigha has caused, but the court system as well. Court was scheduled August 19th at 1:30 p.m. And let's not forget Leigha was pregnant at the time, and the family is actively pursuing a separate legal battle against her to establish paternity and secure custody of the baby girl she gave birth to after the crash. This family deserves justice. And here is the backstory in case you haven't been following this. Like I said, it's not really out there yet. There's very limited information. On February 9th, 2025, Mumby was driving with her boyfriend, Daniel Waterman, when they got into an intense argument. Mumby then accelerated to over 90 miles per hour, stating, "I don't care what happens, you'll get what you deserve," before intentionally crashing into a tree. Electronic data recorders verified the vehicle accelerated without braking before impact. After waking from a coma and identifying that Mumby intentionally caused the crash to detectives by a letterboard as he was unable to physically speak, 22-year-old Daniel Waterman tragically passed away on October 8th, 2025 from related injuries. And I believe if I read this before, he actually ended up with pneumonia. Isn't that some shit? You go through all this and then you end up with pneumonia. Yeah, that's horrible. All right, so this is what happened on August 19th. Circuit Judge John Nichols on Wednesday, which was the 19th, scheduled the trial of Leigha Mumby on charges of vehicular homicide and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon for October 12th, with a September 9th docket surrounding. It is among the higher profile cases of the year. Mumby, 25, is accused of intentionally crashing her car on I-95 in Palm Coast with her boyfriend and the father of the child with whom she was pregnant at the time, as the two were arguing over a woman he was texting with. Mumby had found out she was pregnant earlier that day. The crash severely injured her and her boyfriend, Daniel Waterman, who spent months in the hospital before succumbing to the injuries. In the meantime, he had spoken with law enforcement describing the moments that led up to the crash as the two argued, and Mumby sped up, allegedly telling him, "I don't care what happens, you'll get what you'll deserve." Mumby, formerly of Flagler Beach, was released from the hospital a few days later after the crash and told law enforcement she did not remember the moments before the crash, only waking up in agonizing pain afterwards. Body cam video, which shows the Honda Passport she was driving deep in the woods, includes audible sounds of Mumby in distress. Mumby has since given birth and moved to Clay County, where Tracy Cruz, a caseworker with Healthy Families Florida, described her as a dedicated participant and a caring, loving, and gentle mom to her child. There are no concerns, only praise. Mumby faces the risk of losing her parental rights if she is convicted. The child's grandmother filed suit in Flagler County for visitation rights, which Mumby resisted until the grandmother voluntarily dismissed the suit pending the outcome of the criminal case. Assistant State Attorney Melissa Clark is prosecuting the case, centering on a second-degree felony charge of vehicular homicide, a second-degree felony charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and a third-degree felony charge of reckless driving causing serious bodily injury. It is nowhere near a black and white case, as the prosecution will rely on Waterman had told an investigator and on circumstantial evidence surrounding that evening, Super Bowl Sunday, when Mumby and Waterman were returning from his cousin's house where they had been watching the game. Witnesses include his cousins who were in text contact with him before the crash. Mumby's witnesses include Anthony Fairbanks, an expert witness in accident reconstructions. At trial, the jury may choose to convict on all three or any of one of the charges or lesser charges all the way to acquittal. It appears that the prosecution made an offer of a plea, which Mumby, who is represented by Reed Hart, declined. I had the opportunity to meet recently with Ms. Mumby to let her know what her maximum exposure is in this case, the judge said, and whether there have been offers made by the state, whether they have been rejected, have there been any counteroffers, and I do want all of that on the record. That will happen at the September 9th docket sounding. Mumby's maximum exposure is 35 years in prison. Even if convicted, she is not likely to be sentenced to anywhere near that. So the key dates that we need to look for. September 3rd is a final deposition is scheduled to take place. September 9th, a docket surrounding the hearing will be held. Judge Nichols indicated she wants defendant Leigha Mumby present in court that day. At the hearing, Mumby is expected to be advised on the record of her maximum potential sentencing exposure. The court also plans to address the status of any plea offers from the state, whether those offers have been rejected, and whether any counteroffers have been made. The jury pool. The court has ordered 60% prospective jurors for the case. Attorneys for both sides are expected to file motions addressing what evidence will be permitted at trial. And October 12th, jury selection is expected to begin, with the trial proceeding later that week. In other hearing notes, Mumby's defense attorney, Reed Hart, raised concerns during the hearing about pretrial social media activity, indicating that prospective jurors may be screened for related posts. Hart also sought clarification on scheduling, confirming that proceedings would not be held in the evening and that the court session would begin at 8:30 a.m. And just a little bit on the case background. The case has seen multiple delays and continuances, with the September 9th docket sounding and October 12th jury selection now set. The matter is moving towards trial. And the court docket for the notice of appear, the date was August 20th, 2026. State of Florida versus Leigha Catherine Marie Mumby. Charges are reckless driving, cause serious bodily injury, aggravated battery with deadly weapon, and vehicular homicide. You are here notified that the above style case has been scheduled for a docket sounding. This is your notice to appear on September 9th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 401 before the Honorable Don Nichols at the Kim Hammond Justice Center, and that is in Florida. Any person charged and convicted of Section 316.193 will have their driver's license suspended or revoked. You should make arrangements for transportation to any proceeding in which the court may take such action. And there's just two more things that I wanted to read to you. When I first covered this, I only did one video on it. Moms for Justice actually came out with it. So they covered it, and I believe Christine from the Big Sister Unhinged, she covered it as well. And that is Dominic Russo's sister. And he was in the car accident with Mackenzie Shirilla. So she covered it as well. And I will tag them both in this. So it says, "Thank you, Moms for Justice, for your video highlighting Daniel's case. Our family is going through all the emotions as we are preparing for the upcoming trial set to begin on August 12th. The fear, reliving the trauma we went through while next to Daniel, the fear of the outcome, the worry for each of our family members as we walk through this process. We are now Daniel's voice since he was robbed of his. Thank you to each one of you for helping advocate for our 22-year-old kid. He was so strong even until the very end." And then this is just one thing that the family had said. It hurt to walk through that crash site. No braking or skidding patterns were found at the site. Tire marks straight towards the tree. Angels must have been protecting him that night because it happened right next to a body of water in which he could have drowned. All the damage to the vehicle was hit on the passenger side he was sitting on. Everything was broken on him. When he was finally able to spell out what happened, one of the things he had been trying to say was, quote unquote, "She killed me." It makes you wonder if he saw the other side before being resuscitated. Daniel fought at 22 years old harder than anyone. He fought for the truth to be exposed. Jury selection happens 48 days from today on October 12th. And on this Facebook page, and this is the last thing that I want to go over, there is a GoFundMe, and the Facebook page is Justice for Daniel Waterman. Um, the GoFundMe, they're trying to raise 50,000, and it looks like they have 26,750. So they're a little over halfway there. And their GoFundMe says, on Super Bowl night, Daniel was the passenger in a severe car accident that left him with life-sustaining injuries. The crash was sudden, unexpected, and has completely changed his life in an instant. Daniel is currently battling broken bones, spinal injuries, and collapsed lungs that are struggling to heal. The list goes on. He will need extensive medical treatment, surgeries, and therapy over the next couple of years. And I do want to just chime in here. The GoFundMe was set up right after the crash happened, so that's why it's saying that he is alive when he did pass away. As you can imagine, this accident has placed an enormous financial burden on Daniel and our family. He was supposed to be home in Syracuse, but unfortunately this happened while vacationing in Florida. Family members continue to travel to Florida so we can take turns being by his bedside. We are asking for your support to help on his road to recovery. Your donations will go directly towards expenses caused by the accident, such as daily living expenses, home modifications, or any other needs during his recovery period. And then it just goes into every donation, big or small, makes a difference. So again, that is on Justice for Daniel Waterman, and it says, may justice prevail. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. So this is going to be probably one of the next cases that we cover. We might cover one or two in between there, but just a heads up that that one is coming up shortly. That'll be October. So again, Leigha Mumby, and very similar circumstances with Mackenzie Shirilla. I don't know what I think about this, but all right, guys, we will talk soon. Have a good day, and thanks for joining me. Bye.